vaira anubandena,
by constant enmity,
nirvairena, by devotion, ayena, by fear, va, or, sneha, from affection, kamena, by lusty desires, va, or, yunjat, one should concentrate, katanchit, somehow or other, na, not, ikshate, disease, pritak, something else. Translation. Therefore, by enmity or by devotional service, by fear, by affection or by lusty desire, by all of these or any one of them, if a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates his mind upon the Lord, the result is the same. For the Lord, because of his blissful position, is never affected by enmity or friendship. Put by Srila Prabhupada. From this verse, one should not conclude that because Krishna is unaffected by favorable prayers or unfavorable blasphemy, one should therefore blaspheme the Supreme Lord. This is not the regulative principle. Bhakti Yoga means anukulyena Krishna anushilana. One should serve Krishna very favorably. This is the real injunction. Here it is said that also an enemy thinks of Krishna unfavorably. The Lord is unaffected by such anti-devotional service. Thus he offers his benediction even to Shishupal and similarly inimical conditioned souls. This does not mean, however, that one should be inimical towards the Lord. The stress is given to the favorable execution of devotional service, not purposeful blasphemy of the Lord. It is said, Nindam Bhagavata Shrinvansh Tat Parasya Janasya Va Tato Napaideyaho Sopi Yati Adha Sukritachutaha. One who hears blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee should immediately take action or should leave. Otherwise, he will be put into hellish life perpetually. There are many such injunctions. Therefore, as a regulative principle, one should not be favorable towards the Lord, should be not unfavorable to the Lord, but always favorably inclined towards Him. Shishupal's achievement of oneness with the Supreme Lord was different because Jaya and Vijay, from the very beginning of their material existence, were ordained to treat the Supreme Lord as an enemy for 3 lives and then return home back to Godhead. Jaya and Vijay inwardly knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they purposefully became his enemies to be delivered from material life. From the very beginning of their lives, they thought of Lord Krishna as an enemy, and even so, blaspheming Lord Krishna, they chanted the holy name of Krishna constantly, along with their inimical thoughts. Thus, they were purified because of chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It is to be understood that even a blasphemer can be freed from sinful activities by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Certainly, therefore, freedom is assured for a devotee who is always favorable to the service of the Lord. This will be clear from the following verse. By rapt attention fixed upon Krishna, one is purified, and thus one is delivered from material life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has very nicely explained the word bhayena, which means by fear. When the gopis went to Krishna in the dead of night, they certainly feared chastisements by their relatives, their husbands, brothers, and fathers. But nonetheless, not caring for the relatives, they went to Krishna. There were certainly fear, but this fear could not check their devotional service to Krishna. One should not mistakenly think that Lord Krishna must be worshipped by an inimical attitude like that of Shishupal. The injunction is anukulyena grahanam, pratikulyena varjanam. One should give up unfavorable activities and accept only favorable conditions in devotional service. Generally, if one blasphemes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is punished, as the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita. Tanaham vishataha puram samhasreshu naradaman kshipami ajashram ashubhan asuri vishveva yonishu. There are many such injunctions. One should not try to worship Krishna unfavorably, otherwise he must be punished, at least for one life, to be purified. As one should not try to be killed by embracing an enemy, a tiger or a snake, one should not blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead and become his enemy in order to be put into hellish life. The purpose of this verse is to emphasize that even the enemy of the Lord can be delivered, not to speak of his friend. Srila Madhvacharya also says in many ways that one should not blaspheme Lord Vishnu through one's mind, words and actions. For a blasphemer will go to hellish life along with his forefathers. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest amongst men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Attaining repeated birth among the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the abominable type of existence. One who blasphemes the Lord is put into a family of asuras, in which there is every chance of forgetting the service of the Lord. Lord Krishna further states in the Bhagavad Gita that mudras, rascals, blaspheme the Supreme Lord because he appears exactly like a human being. They do not know the unlimited opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anything done by those who have taken the attitude of enemies will be baffled, moghasha. If these enemies try to be liberated or to merge into the existence of Brahman, if they desire to be elevated to the high planetary systems as kamis, or even if they desire to return home back to Godhead, they will certainly be baffled. As for Hiranyakashipu, also he was extremely inimical toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He always thought of his son, who was a great devotee. Therefore, by the grace of his son, Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu was also delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conclusion is that one should not give up pure devotional service. For one's own benefit, one should not imitate Hiranyakashipu or Shishupal. This is not the way to achieve success. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Dhyami Namaste Saraswati Devam Puramani Prachani Nirvishesha Srinivadi Dashkati. Therefore, by enmity or by devotional service, by fear, by affection or by lusty desire, by all of these or any one of them, if a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates his mind upon the Lord, the result is the same. For the Lord, because of his blissful position, is never affected by enmity or friendship. So these shlokas are coming up preventively because the rest of the seventh canto is great portions of seventh canto depicting the pastimes of the Lord, tearing apart demons, acting in what Kamis would consider the most cruel way, would call it the anti-Christian dogma, part of Srimad Bhagavatam, because this is always advocated in a Christian line that God must be love. And love means that he has to do something I like. That's the definition of love in the material world. If somebody is doing something I like, he loves me. Very undefined what that like means. Basically what it means is to increase the amount of sense gratification. So if somebody can supply an increased amount of sense gratification, he loves me. Very nice. And if he doesn't do it, not very nice. So here, in seventh canto, God is depicted in a most ferocious form, not supplying sense gratification, but by killing a demon in a most artistic way. Even devotees in the beginning, when they first time saw the pictures of Lord Nrsimhadev coming up, they said, Prabhupada, we cannot show it in the public. This is intestines flying around and blood everywhere, and this is terrible. Prabhupada said, no, this is very beautiful. This is when God starts to splash the blood around. It's not horror, it's beauty. And we used to use that picture of Nrsimhadev, especially the one who, depicting him taking care of the followers of Hiranyakashipu after the slaughter of Hiranya. Hiranyakashipu, and the followers came up with masked armies and wanted to revenge Hiranyakashipu. Lord Nrsimha then manifested even a bigger form. He became something like a threshing machine, with his arms going around. There's this picture where one demon, especially there's a Dika in the picture where Lord Shingadev grabs the demon on the head and blocks his fingers into his eyes like this, just to throw him sky high, It was like a threshing machine. So we used to have a big picture like this in the Sankirtan, we used to carry with us. They were addressed by the police, and German police asked us, who organized this illicit collection? We were going, him. And it created quite some effect. They thought, these people are so that, better we don't ask any more questions, So this is mundane consideration. People developed paradise or kingdom of God without God. That's true. We want all the opulences of Vaikuntha right now, here, but no Krishna being involved. So of course it doesn't work. Krishna has a very, very clear rules established in this world, which is essentially highly discouraging. If you consider the amount of pleasure and pain coming in your life, well, the pain is definitely the majority. And that's for everybody. You may think, oh, he is so rich, he's enjoying, look at this. No, it doesn't mean that you enjoy. You can be surrounded by this. I met few very rich people in my life. I cannot say they were happy. Not at all. At the best, they were kind of sobered up, because they really knew this money will not make it. It's not this. It's a nice feeling that you go on the street and you can say, I can buy this, or I can have that. Yeah, but immediately it's arranged a mechanism behind that there will be, proportionally to your opulences, will be amount of envious people, enemies will come up. When you are poor and you have nothing, it's a very peaceful life. Nobody is upset. When you are infamous, you are not famous, so what? You can follow it on an example of destiny of rock groups, starting in a garage playing guitar. When they become famous, that's what they wanted, isn't it? And then the hell breaks loose. They become psychic, they become mad. They just, so much money to be wasted. And at the end you cannot go even to the toilet without some photo being taken of you and published in some newspaper. As a matter of fact, you cannot throw even garbage. There will be immediately some newspaper reporter ravaging through the garbage, finding some letter and publishing it in the newspaper. You cannot even peacefully throw away garbage. You cannot just live life. Just live. So this is a reward you get from the material energy. So material energy is designed like that. It's actually a mechanism to, as Lord Brahma points out at the beginning of the creation. This creation is meant to rectify the conditioned souls and bring them back to the point of surrender to Krishna. But Lord Brahma himself is expressing the amazement. They changed the purpose. They are doing something else with it. This is supposed to be, a hospital, and they make a bar out of it. How could they manage? Because the conditions are to the last bit of hope. Try to reverse that mechanism. They will try even to enjoy their own funeral. They will plan it out and think, then I can plan it here, then they will all come and cry. And before they die even, they try to enjoy even their own death. Anything. Even if the evidence is so clear, it's so discouraging. So therefore sometimes devotees are considered pessimistic, and God is sometimes considered cruel. Therefore preventively the shlokas appear here that Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. Krishna is not part of enmity, and he is not part of friendship, material friendship. He is about, as you surrender unto me, I reveal myself to you. It's up to you. How do you want to have it? But the nice point made in this shloka is that, however, the main point is to be focused on Krishna, as demonstrated like example by Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta, when they got the reports from the preaching field coming in some newspaper articles or something like this, sometimes these newspaper articles were not in the language they could understand. Once Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj got such an article from his preaching disciples, and he just took the article with a pen, he underlined where the word Krishna is in that article. And it was many times mentioned, So he said, it's a very good article, very good article. Even he couldn't understand one word of it. He just counted how many times that word Krishna appeared in that article. It's a very good article. And then, when my father calls in a temple, he always hits the answering machine, of course, because nobody is really much answering. So, and he goes always, on the phone, he goes, whenever I call, there's always only this Hare Krishna, it's only this on the answering machine. It's only Hare Krishna, And then he chants. He doesn't say actually inimically, but because he's a chant, he must say it in somewhat cynical way, otherwise life is not fun. But the medicine is chanting, that's all. It is as simple as that. Sometimes we forget that. We try to complicate life, and we try to, being, as Prabhupada used the word, opinionated, Doesn't appear in the dictionary, I said that word. Prabhupada said he's very opinionated. That means, it goes along the line of, you have to express some very distinct opinion. What is this called? This Sanskrit name for that? It's in the Bhagavad Gita in the beginning. Somebody who is man of wisdom has to say something important, and he must differ from the other.
Oh, that's not Bhagavad Gita, that's Mahabharata.
But he's mentioning Bhagavad Gita.
Power mentions Bhagavad Gita, okay.
Not Shrutita. There's a word. What is this guy called?
Muni,
yeah. And Shrita Muni, that's a conclusive one. But Muni means somebody who just and then other Muni immediately comes up, and goes, and the whole world is full of this kind of people. And then another one, and they all die down the road. Therefore libraries are full of books, and how much paper is wasted just to express one's opinion. Internet is glowing, and everyone is to express. But by the end of the day, from a spiritual point of view, the point is quite simple. Are we going to remember Krishna or not? I just got involved into a conflict between two devotees. Very intense conflict, over nothing, actually, as usual. But but they asked, what do you say? Well, he said, I said, my only question was, do you want to die by remembering him? No, of course not. Then why are you always chanting like this? Just let it go, just chant Hare Krishna, and you will see it's okay. Okay. Because by the end of the day, I always picture in Vrindavan, they used to have a special room for dying devotees. And then, I remember, I always picture, that one day you are in that room, and you have a clear sign, you have 1 week to go, to leave the body, or something like this. Actually, in the last stage of death, if you die somewhat, in an organic way, not suddenly by some accident. So it is actually readable. The doctor can say this body will stop functioning in 6 hours or something like this, or maybe even in 1 month. Of course, there is always Krishna's will at the end. But physically spoken, it can be actually seen how the functions are declining. So just imagine you have your schedule, 1 week to go, then you lie there, and then the door goes open and they bring the next one because, Indians are always very economical. They think since they are dying anyway, they can be 2, 3 in their rooms or what. They bring another one, and that's the one your enemy. He also came to die in Vrindavan. You think, what is he doing here? Why does it matter? You are both dead in 1 week. So what does it matter? What really matters, probably, I think by that time you will create some more favorable attitude. You will go, Hare Krishna, and you will go, Hare Krishna, and then you will be just happy that the presence of the other remembers you on Krishna, that's all. So this is the whole principle behind what we are doing. Always remember Krishna, never forget it, and don't make it complicated. Because Srila Prabhupada made something very, very complex. So complex that people could hardly find the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in the Vedic scriptures. It's practically hidden, And Prabhupada makes such a thing so complex, something very simple. Just take it. That's actually not easy to do, because we are programmed to be complicated. Somehow, we were taught in a school already to be complicated, covered with so much information and so much data which we don't need, which is completely irrelevant to our lives. What they call the basic education. When you ever need this thing in life? Practically nothing of that. I mean, we all remember we walked out of the school. What could you use in a life from that? They couldn't even teach me English in the school properly. Tea time, how do you do? Who is speaking like this? It's nonsense. I heard now they upgraded, they teach English, from the text of Beatles or something like this. Okay, but still, then comes the practice. For most of the people, being Shudras never go to school. They don't go to school, they learn by practice. The father is doing, the son is following. And this is very powerful education. Especially when you educate yourself along the Varna, it becomes very productive. Then you can be really some substantial contribution to the society, if you speak just in social terms. No, they give everybody a lift somewhere. Everybody is going studying something. And they complicate things to such a degree, at the end they wouldn't be even able to screw in a wall without going to the university. It's all very, very, not easy, very complicated. But devotees are always baffling them by this simple question: what is this good for? Why are you doing this? What does it do? What is practical? What is the use of this? What to speak when we raise the spiritual claim and we ask people, is it useful to find the purpose of life? Is it useful to find yourself? Who is you? I'm studying. Yeah, everybody is studying. Who is you? Well, I'm this, I'm that. They imagine their identities. And in this way, they waste this very, very valuable time. Clock is ticking. There is no such a thing like a senior devotee. Senior devotee means he came to Krishna consciousness when? Maybe 40 years ago, 50 years ago. What is that? It's nothing. It's just yesterday. It's nothing. It just goes like this. But being captured by the momentarily, bhoga, the momentary concept of sense gratification, which limits you to a very, very, very small-minded field, by that concept, like a pig. Pig doesn't ask even how many pigs I know in the stable, pig is just saying, oh, here's the food coming, and then they eat, and then they sleep. It doesn't ask questions like, when will I get out of here, or how did I go here, or, nothing. It's just growing fat and it will be butchered, that's it. So this is the lifestyle they introduce people to. People just, just focus on this one. That's what the demons want. They don't want you to ask questions. They want you just to follow the line. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Like this, program. So Krishna consciousness is ultimately the only time when we can break out and start to ask the real questions and deal with the real issues. Like we often mention, this Maya is very good at it, to make unimportant important and important unimportant. She's very good at it. She brings an issue. I'm here! And everybody goes, and they start to discuss that. And maybe it's not important. Even in Krishna consciousness, which is really has a vast variety of transcendental issues, still there are priorities. And that's actually the unique feature of Srila Prabhupada. He showed us the priorities for us, what you should do now. Therefore we need a spiritual authority. Otherwise, man in a wheelchair will start to study, the science, how to fly to the moon or something like this, or how to jump high or whatever. But why are you studying this? You are in a wheelchair. So study how to do the best out of that wheelchair. We have to deal with the momentary conditioning, with the momentary situation, not reaching out for the skies while we are falling down to hell. No, first comes first. And this is what Srila Prabhupada introduced us to. Therefore his preaching was actually very, very pragmatic. He made it clear what the goal is, but he also never, neglected the present situation. Where are we now? We know where we came from, we can still remember. We know where we should go to, but where are we now? And therefore, because devotees don't have it very often clear, they spin around in circles all the time. Well, no, I should go there. And then I go there. No, that was not the real thing. And then I go somewhere else and just going around and around and around. So Prabhupada put us there where we belong, right away there. And he made it very clear. And when you study his type of preaching and his approach, especially in the letters and how he deals individually with devotees, it's very, very, very individual. It's very, he always makes clear what the goal is. But if a devotee proves himself not to be functioning on that level, he immediately offers another level. And when he's not functioning at that level, he immediately offers another level. There's always a level to go. That's the beautiful thing in Krishna consciousness. Finally, nobody is rejected. But devotees have this tendency to strive for this level, and when they fail, then they leave completely. This is unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. There's always a level to go. Srila Prabhupada had even programmed for fallen sannyasis. I don't want to get into this and things like that. And not very nice, but there's always a way to go. There's always, he said, just don't leave. And don't leave doesn't mean physically, just to sit here and hold you on the floor. No. Don't leave means in your mind. Don't leave the consciousness, Krishna consciousness. And we saw it in the history of ISKCON and in the history of lives of many devotees, that there is no way to cheat the material life. No way to cheat. There will always be inventory, and there will be always a time coming, where we have to face our situation. We have to deal with that in a practical way. And Krishna will send help, always. Help is coming in all kinds of ways. The only question, do we want that? And that Krishna doesn't interfere. That's our choice. And that makes it a little bit difficult. Because we have to make up your mind. What do I really want? Do you want to get cheated? Oh, great. There's so many out there who will tell you, oh, and you will find birds of the same feather always flock together. And then we go the cheating line. Or do we want to be real? Then Krishna will send you the real ones, the real friends. And real friends are not those who go, great, fantastic. The real friends said, hey, we can really say it amongst the friends, but in this situation like this, you act like an idiot. And do you know why? I had such a friends in Krishna consciousness, fortunately, and even some of them got in trouble later on. But still, I'm eternally grateful to them that they were there in times of need, who just pushed something I couldn't see. And they said it. And they said it very uncompromisingly. And I couldn't understand.